Good evening, Your Honor. My name is Robin Hanson, and I am a member of the jury in the case of AU Hospital versus Jennifer, whose protected health information was illegally disclosed. Before getting into the reasoning behind our decision, it is important to define certain terminology. As defined in Understanding Healthcare Ethics and Medical Law, privacy refers to an individual's expectation to keep or control access to his or her individual space as well as knowledge of certain information. Access to intimate details and information is controlled by an individual's right to privacy. This right to privacy is regulated by many policies, guidelines, and regulations and laws that limit the access to what has become known as a patient's protected health information, which is also known as PHI. Confidentiality refers to the ethical and legal obligations to refrain from sharing information about other people without their authorization. Hospitals and other healthcare institutions are all required and expected to uphold a patient's right to privacy and confidentiality. We as the jury, after viewing both sides of this case, have come to the conclusion that AU Hospital is in fact guilty of breaking the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. This act was originally signed on August 21, 1996 to ensure the security of patient information. The privacy rule restricts disclosures and limits the use of PHI without patients' permission, and the security rule establishes administrative, physical, and technical safeguards to prevent the inadvertent disclosure of electronic PHI. There are 18 different identifiers that identify information as PHI. HIPAA more specifically safeguards medical history, diagnostic images, test results, treatment plans, insurance eligibility, claims, and bill payments. All of this information is subject to HIPAA, whether they are electronic or paper records. It is important to understand that under HIPAA, there are certain situations that would allow providers to disclose patient information. Providers are allowed to share medical information to treat patients, report epidemiological data, comply with law enforcement, intervene in situations of suspected abuse, request payment for services rendered, and improve healthcare operations. None of these are the reason for Jennifer's information being disclosed. AU Hospital has stated that they received a subpoena from a third party but failed to obtain written consent of such subpoena. If this was in fact true, the patient should have known what was going on and the consent to release of her information. Due to the fact that Ms. Jennifer's personal information was illegally disclosed and her privacy was breached, AU Hospital is guilty. The hospital stated that the information being disclosed without written consent was the result of an administrative or clerical error. The answer of the hospital in regards to this was that more training will occur in the future to avoid another privacy breach. This statement in and of itself is the hospital admitting the fact that information was illegally disclosed and how it will be avoided in the future. If the hospital did not break any law or regulation, then there would be no need for a corrective action plan. Due to the fact that the hospital is guilty, the plaintiff should receive an adequate compensation, and the hospital should be made to rewrite their policies and retrain all personnel within a certain amount of time to avoid this from occurring to another patient. This case is not a rarity. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, it was reported that between April 14, 2003 and September 30, 2015, 34,710 complaints of privacy breaches were initiated. Out of these complaints, 69% concluded in a corrective action needed, and only 31% were not violations. This is something that needs to be taken serious, as it is the patient's right to have their information safeguarded and secure at all times. Thank you for your time, and again, in the case of AU Hospital versus Jennifer, AU Hospital is found guilty on behalf of the jury.